at 9 a.m., October 16th, 2024. Clerk, can you please conduct roll call?
Commissioner Wiley?
Here.
Commissioner Evian?
Here.
Commissioner Winiger?
Here.
And Commissioner Slater is absent by prior arrangement.
Great. Before we move forward, I'd like to take this time to pass the gavel in my hand. See it?
Thank you.
To Commissioner Wiley and transition him to the role of chair for fiscal year 2024-25. The vice chair for fiscal year 2024-25 is Commissioner Slater. Best of luck to you both.
Thank you. Now it's my turn. Has the agenda been properly established?
The agenda has been properly established.
Any additional items to be added to the agenda? No?
No.
Approval of the minutes. Item 2 is to approve the minutes of the March 20th meeting of the Commissioners meeting 2024. The Commissioners, do you have any comments on those minutes?
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm supposed to vote because I wasn't in that meeting. So.
Yeah, I think it's just the two of you.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the March 20th, 2024 commission meeting.
And I'll second it. Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Wiley?
Yes.
Commissioner Evian?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Minutes are approved. Now it's public expression. Item 3 is public expression. This is an opportunity for the public to address the commission on matters not listed on the agenda. Individuals wishing to address the commission under public expression are welcome to do so via email, Zoom, or voicemail message. For more information, please visit the Mendocino County Civil Service Commission webpage, which is a nice one. All written correspondence received by 8 a.m. the day of the meeting will be attached to the item and made available online to the Civil Service Commission website. Do we have any? Do we have anybody? No one? Okay. Item 4 is an opportunity for the employee organization representatives to address the commission on items not on the agenda. No action will be taken on this item. You want to speak?
Morning, Patrick Hickey, field representative with SEIU Local 1021. First, I would just like to welcome the new commissioner, Commissioner Winiger, to the Civil Service Commission, and look forward to meeting Commissioner Slater at the next meeting. Just a couple of quick comments. I guess the first one would be that the number of classification reviews for this particular agenda seems a bit excessive and a bit overwhelming for the commission. I do understand that there haven't been meetings for a couple of months, so that there is a backlog, but to really be able to dig in and discuss and review the changes that are happening, it seems burdensome to the commission to go over so many different classifications. Second, do want to put on the agenda or for your discussion coming up with a series of dates for the civil service appeal for county employee Robert Ducharme. It would most likely need to be a 2-day hearing. So finding at least 3 commissioners who are available for that, so that can be done in an expeditious way would be great. We would also ask that Commissioner Slater recuse himself because his spouse is involved in the issue at hand regarding Mr. Ducharme. And I believe that's all I have. And I'll speak specifically to the classification modifications when that discussion comes up. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Now we're going to enter into closed session. Any public reports of action taken in closed session will be made in accordance with Government Code Section 54,957.1.
There are no closed session items.
There's no closed session, okay. Okay, item 6, classification study. Items 6A is the classification specification modification for deputy public guardian administrator, human resources will present the item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Dalzell, HR Manager. Before you this morning, we have an approval for classification specification modifications to Deputy Public Guardian Administrator or approved as modified by the Commission. At the request of Social Services Department, Human Resources has revised the Deputy Public Guardian Administrator classification specification with modifications to the minimum requirements to have the opportunity to efficiently promote within. Additionally, some minor modifications are included, such as grammatical changes, additions of supervision exercise to match the standard template. If you have any questions, we are available, and I am waiting for the subject matter expert to join. However, if you have any questions at this time, I'm available for answering.
So the incumbent will be in this new position when it's created.
The incumbent would, yes, nobody's affected by the modifications of no incumbent is affected by the modification.
So it's a new classification.
It is not a new classification, it's just modifying it. We did some minor modifications to the minimum qualification.
Is that the only thing that was modified?
For the most part, yes. We did do a modification of just grammatical errors and punctuation, but the main changes were under the minimum qualifications.
Just so we have it for the record, can you specify what changed with those?
We expanded the MQs, the minimum qualifications, to a couple of different patterns to where an incumbent would qualify. We also explained in more detail about the social work case management and the definition of that.
Any other comments from the commissioner?
So,
Any
yeah, my
question?
question was about the patterns, so they could fall in either of those. Is that
Yes.
correct? To make it easier for recruitment? All that. Okay.
Is there any public comments? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the deputy public guardian / administrator classification specification.
Thanks for stating that, so I don't have to.
I
Do I have a
second.
second? A roll call?
Commissioner Whittaker,
Aye.
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
and Chair Wiley.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Right. 6B is the classification specification modification for supervisor of health program coordinator, human resources will present. It's a classification modification for the supervising health program coordinator.
Again, Brandy Dalzell, HR Manager. At the request of the Public Health Department, Human Resources has updated the classification specification for the Supervising Health Program Coordinator. The following updates include the minimum qualification section to follow the Code of Federal Regulations 42, Part 432, which includes individuals meeting the skilled professional personnel criteria, medical personnel criteria. Whereas the individual meets these professional education and training requirements for the SPFP. Other updates include the modernizing the knowledge, skills, and abilities format to the standard template and other small language formatting and grammatical revisions. We are asking the commission to approve the revisions to the Supervising Health Program Coordinator. And again, I am available for questions and potentially being joined by Dr. Janine Miller.
so I have a question. So what was deleted was the requirement to be a licensed vocational nurse or registered nurse. That's been deleted. So do those licenses, those two, meet the professional ed and training requirements for SPMP?
So the language that was deleted specifying the LVN, the licensed vocational nurse, is actually incorporated into the SPMP. And through the federal code, we needed to incorporate that because there are different programs and LVN is eligible to take. And so according to the regs for this particular classification, they needed to meet a certain regulation of that program for the LVN. So it is incorporated in there.
Any further comments or questions?
My question was, would most people know what's in the skill SPN?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. That's a difficult question also to answer. What we need to do as the people that are applying for this position in the future should be familiar with the SPMP regulation. However, when we screen for that, when they come in, we will also ask the subject matter experts to join us to make sure that we are screening accordingly to make sure that they meet that qualification.
Because I work for healthcare and I don't know what SPMP is.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, but if you are an LVN, if it asks you should have a, LVN license, I would know that.
Right.
So I would know that I could qualify and apply for it. I just, if someone is applying, it's like, will that deter them from? Because, sometimes more clicks, when you add more steps, people get discouraged and they just don't even want to bother with it. That's just my only thing.
Any comments from the public?
So I have one more question.
Okay.
So is SPMP broader?
Sounds like.
Yeah, it does. Is it broader?
There is it is a little bit in some areas, but it's mostly honing in on the qualifications of that LVN and the education behind the LVN.
Okay. I'm just curious, what's the motivation for this?
The motivation for this, it was the request of Dr. Janine Miller in order to get our class specifications current and aligned to the state regulations. So when the state comes into it, we do an audit that we are meeting the requirements.
Okay.
And that's required by.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? Roll call.
Commissioner Evian,
Did you hear a second?
I second.
Oh, you said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Winiger,
Yes.
motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we're on item 6C.
We just need a second. We're having some technical difficulties.
Okay.
Apparently the wrong link was sent to a few people. So we can just take.
Okay. Take a minute. No, we didn't. I'd like to say that HR has done a fabulous job of preparing for this meeting. Thank you. Thanks for your service. All of you. Takes a team.
The subject on subject of the card. I have to resend email, but I don't use the.
Thank you.
Maybe lost the subject.
Okay, are we ready?
I still need one more minute.
Okay.
Who's the same? Up there. No, Campbell's, oh, Campbell's on, it's not there. I think nobody,
Moving to
nobody at
C,
this
or we now stay on 6C.
I think we're gonna go. Whatever.
So are all your subject matter experts online?
yes,
Okay.
and you might wanna notify them that where we are and
Yeah.
the status of the ones that are approved.
Yes.
So still item 6C? That's where we're at, or do you want to move forward?
So Sarah Pierce is here, so let's move forward to
6D.
Right.
6D.
60.
Okay, 6D is the classification study for treasurer tax collector office. So human resources will present, and it looks like we have some people in the room as well. We're on Zoom.
Yes.
Good morning, Brandy Dalzell, HR Manager for Human Resources. Before you, you have an item that we are requesting the commission to approve the following as presented or as modified by the commission. Approve the proposed new classifications of Revenue Recovery Specialist 2 and Treasury Specialist 1. Approve title change and classification modifications for the Revenue Recovery Specialist to the Revenue Recovery Specialist 1, the Treasury Specialist to Treasury Specialist 2. Approve classification specification modification for the Senior Revenue Recovery Specialist. And then approve the reclassification of the 8 incumbents that are listed on the agenda. Human Resources and the acting auditor, controller, treasurer, tax collector, Sarah Pierce, have been collaborating over the past 10 months to conduct a comprehensive study of the treasurer tax collector's office. This effort has revealed a pressing need for restructuring current classifications to better reflect the evolving duties and responsibilities within the department. The classification specifications of Revenue Recovery Specialist and Treasury Specialist utilized within the department were found to contain outdated language necessitating revisions to accurately capture the scope of work. Furthermore, the study concluded the new classifications are essential to align with the type and levels of work being performed by incumbents, as well as provide correct levels of supervision. These updates will not only enhance the clarity of the roles, but also will establish a career path that is currently lacking, ensuring growth opportunities for staff members. The proposed changes aim to modernize the office structure, improve operational efficiency, and support the professional development of employees within the Treasurer Tax Collector's office. The proposed changes do not change the work being performed by the incumbents, rather provide a more comprehensive specification. We ask the commission to approve the new classifications, title changes and modifications to existing classifications, as well as reclass 8 incumbents as listed. Human Resources has attached the classification specifications to reflect these recommendations. And I'm available for question and answering, as well as I'm joined by acting auditor, controller, treasury, tax collector, Sarah Pierce.
From the tax collector's office, my name is
Hi, Ellen.
We're all trying to Zoom the meeting and none of us can get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you started?
We just started
We
it.
just started when we're on your item.
Okay.
Use the link on the agenda.
Yeah, I did that. Oh, the attachment?
Yeah.
Cause there's one in the email itself.
do the one on the.
On the agenda.
Okay,
On the attachment.
we'll do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Right. So I
We'll
guess
wait
we're
for
ready
them.
time to get
If you
linked
don't
up.
mind. Yeah, if we could wait for the next
Yeah,
minutes,
I'll
please.
wait a minute or two. All right. Good man.
I give them another second because I don't think that
Okay.
was this. Okay.
Technology is always a bit challenging.
All of them are showing.
I do not know, sorry, I just retirement.
No, that's okay.
I can go check on it real fast.
It's a great deal of work went into it.
It's a
Many,
lot.
many meetings. You ready?
Okay, so just so everybody on Zoom knows, we're just waiting for a few more people to join, maybe another moment, and then we'll continue with item 60.
So they're all in.
They're all,
They're-
okay, so we will be continuing.
So, any more comments from the commissioners?
My question would be like, what prompted the change?
I'm sorry, I did not hear.
What
What
prompted?
prompted this change?
So sure, and when I stepped in as the acting auditor controller, the treasurer tax collector, I kind of looked at everything and tried to identify where we were maybe missing and lacking in positions, and I wanted to try to get the department in a same kind of format that the other departments in the county have. So for instance, you have like an admin analyst, 1, 2 senior, so that, you know, there's also room for employees to grow. We can ensure that there's retention and give the opportunities to employees. The structure that was set up in the TTC side was a little unique and didn't kind of follow some of the other parameters of other county departments. Additionally, when the two offices were combined and the elected position for the tax collector side and the assistant treasurer tax collector at the time both resigned, it did leave some room for staffing needs. And so in this proposal, we're asking for the employees to be reclassified into a structure that is more comparable to what the other departments have and give the employees opportunity for growth.
Sounds great.
So in looking at the there's two new classifications. The revenue recovery specialist 2, treasury specialist 1. And when I look down at the 4th bullet, approve the reclassification of incumbents, I don't see anyone reclassified to treasury specialist 1. Is that a position that will then be filled, or?
Currently, we're not filling that position right now. It's a position, we wanted the position so it could be kind of an entry level position that comes in. As we are continuing to look at tasks, that position may eventually be needed. But right now, we're just asking for the class spec to be approved and for future potential to fill.
So another question, is there any change in employee compensation as a result of these reclassifications?
At this time, the commission does not address salary.
Okay.
That is a board of supervisors.
Ready?
Address as in, it's not possible just to even know?
We don't discuss that in.
No one loses.
No one is losing.
wages. They
No one
they
goes
don't go
down.
lower in pay.
No, I wondered whether they went
Well,
up.
they potentially have.
That's what I was wondering.
You can watch the board of supervisors.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jealous.
well, what about,
You do a good job.
well, I guess I'm wondering whether by approving these motions, if there's a fiscal component to them, isn't that important to know in terms of making a decision?
The role of the commissioners is not
So
to
we-
have
yeah.
fiscal responsibility. It is to address the classification and portion of
Huh,
civil service duty.
That's the way
Okay.
the commission was originally established,
okay,
Since the board is the one that's.
and that was the
gotcha.
charter, I guess you would.
Okay.
So essentially, what we're trying to do is add a step in the ladder, so then they have like more room to move up.
Correct, yeah, we
When
were,
it is-
we were trying to align with what other departments have and ensure that there's a career path for employees. And you know, we're worried about retention and making sure that the employees are really well. And to ensure that all of the tasks are also being completed.
Very important. How needs the land. This is where we get paid, right?
What's the difference between a treasury and a recovery?
The revenue recovery specialist. So the treasury position is handling the balancing of all of the cash that comes in, where the revenue recovery positions are collecting it and they deal very heavily in the property tax side, all the tax side, cannabis tax side, whereas typically the treasurer side does not handle that. The treasury side also kind of deals with some of the investments. So we ensure that there is separation of duty there as well.
That makes sense.
That makes.
I have another question. It's my understanding that there is a current court case with the actual auditor, controllers, treasurer, tax collector person. In that court case is in progress. I'll just leave it at that. And I'm wondering about making all of these changes while that person is on, I guess for lack of a better term, on leave. I don't know if I'd call it on leave, suspended.
So we wouldn't cover anything about the court case in here, and what's
Right.
happening is what's best for the department through the county. Any of the changes that are being made.
No, I understand the intent of this, the changes, and they seem like good changes. But I just wonder about doing that while the head of the department can't be involved in that.
Yeah, but the business has to continue.
And at this time,
And yeah,
at this time, we have the acting
right,
auditor, controller, treasurer, tax collector that has been appointed.
appointed by the
Appointed, who
supervisors.
is the.
Right.
Yeah, and you probably can't wait for a court case because court
Yeah, we're
cases
trying
take
to
a long
ensure
time.
continuity of services with the entire county. And right now, we felt this was the best path for the county as a whole and the department is to ensure that we have the resources that we need through our staffing and to ensure retention and that employees here who are the backbone of the county really have a career path.
So it doesn't really change the actual. It doesn't expand operations or contract them. It's what's different, I guess?
We are not expanding or adding any additional services,
Right.
we're not combining kind of any departments, we're really doing a look back of what what the needs are right now to continue operations. As I was saying, when the elected treasurer tax collector at the time, Sherry Schottmeyer, resigned, and then you had the assistant resign, it left a need for staffing and a review of tasks and operations at that time, and it's taking quite a process to get through. So what'd you say, Randy?
And reorganization.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's been going on for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working through this for at least the last probably 10 months.
Yeah.
It was, we went into a lot of detail with it.
Any more questions from the commission first? Any public comment?
Yeah, Patrick Hickey, field representative with SEIU 1021. We are in support of these changes. We feel like it's the right move for the department, and will give the employees more opportunity for advancement and improving their positions.
Thank you for your comment. Any more comments from the public or online? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
In a second,
Yeah, I just think it's good to specify what we're approving.
well, okay,
Lot.
No,
we're approving the classification study for treasurer, tax collector, office of human. So that's what we're doing.
well, we're approving proposed new classifications. We're approving the title change of classification modifications for blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's 4 bullets.
Do we have to
It's
mention
just,
all of them?
it's just good for our minutes.
You can
That's
read
all.
what's in the.
Should I restate my
Okay.
motion?
Memo. Well, I can. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve as recommended the following as presented. Approve the proposed classifications of Revenue Recovery Specialist 2, Treasury Specialist 1. Approve the title change and classification modifications for Revenue Recovery Specialist to Recovery Specialist 1. Treasury Specialist to Treasury Specialist 2. Approve classification specification modifications for Senior Recovery Specialist. And approve the reclassification of incumbents. Do I have to mention their names?
Very good, thank you.
I'll second.
I'm learning my job. Can you tell? Thank you. Roll call?
Commissioner Winiger,
Yes.
Chair Evian, or
Yes.
Commissioner Evian,
Yes.
Chair Wiley,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for your
you for all your
service.
work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have a good day.
Amazing. Okay, we are back to item 6C. Classification specification modifications for Deputy Director of Social Services. Human Resources has the floor.
Randy Dalzell, HR Manager. Commissioners, we are asking for the approval of the revisions of the classification of Deputy Director Social Services. We have worked with, the Human Resources have worked with the Department of Social Services in reviewing the Deputy Director of Social Services classification and determined updates were needed. The revisions include updating duties of essential job functions, adjusting the minimum qualifications appropriately, including detailing the family and children's services due to state regulations. Incumbents in the classification will not be impacted by the proposed changes. And joining us online, I do have members of Social Services, Stephen White, Rachel Evil Elliott, Laura Arms, and Jesse Van Voorhees. Just ask any questions.
Okay, I have a question. Under examples of duties and essential job functions, the last bullet on this page goes on. There's a bullet that says, which is an addition, develop and implement revenue enhancement plans based on federal and state forecasts. Who did that previously? if this is something new to
I
this.
would like to call on any of the subject matter experts.
Hi, Rachel Ebel Elliott, Acting Assistant Director for Department of Social Services. So it's not, so the duty was carried out previously by the classification. It just wasn't specifically stated in the job descriptions or the class specification. So this is just clarifying that is an expectation of the position.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
And I can point out one of the largest changes or most impactful changes is under the minimum qualifications for the Deputy Director of Social Services for Family and Children's Services. There is a requirement of a master's degree for that division.
Oh,
So, yeah, under those, in that section, the minimum qualifications, it has 3 patterns and then an and 5 years of experience and describes that. Is that 5 years? How does pattern 2, 4 years of supervisory experience, how does that gel with and 5 years of professional experience? How do those coexist?
Yeah, I have the same question. So this pattern 1, should it have the master's degree as well? Because how it's outlined right now is confusing.
Patterns 1, 2, and 3 would be a Deputy Director of Social Services of a different division. And then following that, assignments of the Family and Children's Services, they require the master's degree in 5 years. So it depends on where the Deputy Director of Social Services, which division they're being hired into.
I see. That-
So when a recruitment is in progress, the notification on the job recruitment will outline which position it will be for.
I see. So that makes sense. It was confusing at first, the way it's laid out. But in essence, it makes sense because the deputy director could be in other departments.
So it's possible, though, in pattern 2, that that 4 years of experience could have been in child welfare or adult protective services. Does that mean they'd only need 1 more year then to qualify?
Dependent upon the classification or
Yeah.
which division, yes.
Yeah, okay.
One other question, under job summary, we redlined may act in the director's absence. Is that because they're not doing that or it's implied?
Rachel, may I call on you?
Yeah, so that was removed from that summary area. However, it was added in the examples of duties and essential job functions on the second page. It was added almost at the very last, may serve as social services director in their absence. So it was just moved to a different location to improve the format.
They're still doing that task, but it was just
it's changed. Yeah.
added as a bullet point under their duties.
So it was somewhere else in here
It
originally?
was under job summary. But it wasn't actually mentioned. in the
Oh,
bullet
there it
points.
is, right, okay,
So I was wondering
Right.
if they're still
Thank
doing
you.
that or it's implied.
yeah, right. Great,
Yeah, it was just for clarity,
Mhm.
relocated on the class specs.
great, thank you. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the classification.
Do we have any public comment beyond this? Hearing no public comment, I'll take your motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the classification specification modification for deputy directors, social services.
A second?
Roll call?
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Winiger,
Yes.
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
motion carries unanimously.
Okay, now we're moving on to 6E. Classification, specification, modification for environmental health specialist 1, 2, and senior.
Good morning, Rosie Hauser, HR analyst.
Morning.
The Environmental Health Division is, or HR is proposing modifications for classifications of
That's all right.
environmental health
Very much
special services.
friends.
The following changes are recommended. Removal of hydrological report language. The current specification includes references to hydrological reports which are no longer aligned to the operational responsibilities. Removing this language will better reflect the core duties of the environmental health specialist series. Additional material and equipment. We propose to add language addressing and handling materials and equipment to the roles. Additional supervision to the senior class specification. To enhance the roles of the senior classification, we propose including the language that specifies supervisory responsibilities. This addition will ensure that the senior specialists are equipped to oversee the work of staff to ensure its compliance and the necessary guidelines and standards. At this time, I am available for questions. I also, that is joining us is Marlena Dooley, the Director of Environmental Health.
Yeah, I have a question. So who will review and respond to hydrological reports? Who will do that?
The county needs to hire a licensed individual. It's part of the conversation that the board has been having for several years about
Yes.
recreating a water agency.
Yep. Yep.
And at this time, the license for health inspectors does not allow us to review or approve hydrologic studies. In the past, we somehow inherited review of some of that because we do review other water tests. But on current review, we are not licensed to approve them. So we really do need a hydrogeologist, a hydrologist, or that similar license type to review hydro studies.
Is there, sorry.
The hope is to actually have that position in the future.
There is a hope, although the board has struggled. They did have a study done. They hired a consultant to see what it would take to reinstate a water agency. And they haven't been able to identify the budget for that at the moment. It is an unstaffed position that lives within DOT for the moment. And you know, there is a big need for improvement for our water department for the county, but funding is a challenge. Planning and Building has a grant through the Coastal Commission that is currently reviewing water condition requirements for development on the coast that will help in the stead of having a full water agency. That they have hired a hydrologist and a firm to work on some of those things to establish the standards that staff could potentially lean on moving forward in the absence of a hydrologist on staff.
So previously they were doing the reports or reviewing the reports,
At a water agency with hydrologists.
and it's required to have an actual license to do those. Okay.
I know that the water ordinance that was presented to the Board of Supervisors was shifted to the county council to review the language, and that if that ordinance was in effect, it would require hydrologists.
It did propose that the county staff the hydrologist. And I believe Planning and Building is going to be bringing that item back right in the near future.
Thank you.
So that's really clean language.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
Any further comments? Any questions? Any comments from the public? Anybody online that would like to speak? Hearing none. Roll call.
Do we have a motion?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, hello, I'm moving too fast. Do we have a motion to adopt the specification modification for environmental health specialists 1, 2, and senior?
I'll make
Okay, no, go
I'll
ahead.
make a motion to approve the classification specification modification for environmental health specialist 1, 2, and C.
I'll second.
Thank you. Well done. Roll call?
Commissioner Evia,
Yes,
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes,
Commissioner Winiger,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
thanks for your service. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll see you.
And your time here. Away from work. 6F is a new classification modification for permit technician 1, 2, and supervising. And supervising. So go ahead, Brett.
Good morning and thank you. Randy Dalzell, HR Manager. Before you, you have the request to approve new classification specification for permit technician 1 and permit technician 2, and to approve the revisions of the classification specification modifications for supervising permit technician. HR and Planning and Building Services have requested the creation of a permit technician 1 and a permit technician 2 classification as a part of a proposed reorganization. The proposed reorganization was due in part to staffing levels, the volume of work, and increased complexity in the building permit application process due to the multiple disasters that have impacted the county in the past years. The proposed classifications will be responsible for performing technical and administrative work related to the building permit application and related documents. Other modifications include minor grammatical changes, formatting, and language that aligns with the classification specification series. At this time, I'm available for any questions, as well as I'm joined by subject matter experts, John Burks and Richard Langley. From Planning and Building.
So these are new classifications, no incumbent.
Permit Tech 1 and 2 are new classifications. Supervising Permit Tech was approved and is being recruited for. Previously it was approved. This, I can have you guys add on momentarily.
Yeah.
The reason this started with the supervising permit tech, because at the time of the fires is really when this reorg started being looked at. And the increase, the need for the supervisor at that time was supervising the staff that was not done yet, and that's the permit tech.
Okay.
The permit technicians 1 and 2, so they were supervising other staff. Now that we have had time and energy to put into creating the permit technician 1 and 2, we have to revise the supervising permit, and now we will have,
Have not plan.
and again, they can speak further.
They're union jobs, that's 1 and 2.
Yes, they are.
So currently, what exists? Like, who is doing this role? And what is the title?
Yeah, my name is John Burks. I'm the Assistant Planning and Building Services Director. I'd like to answer that question for you. So right now we have staff assistants and a supervising staff assistant, but as Randy described as we'd like to increase the technical nature of the work. And so likely what would happen is as we recruit for these positions, staff assistants go down, permit techs go up.
So basically, it wasn't very specific to that role. It was just other duties as a sub.
Yeah, the department's becoming much more sophisticated, you know, over time, and we'd like to offer some training opportunities that would be specifically available to people in the building division, not just for general administration. So this is going to open up a lot of doors for you know, people within the department and, you know, people who want to come into the department into a more technically complex situation, which again will help with disaster response and completing the normal functions. You know, we have the big boom in permits through, you know, the legalization of cannabis. And so through that, you know, we want to make sure that we're being responsive to community needs.
well, I see here twice that under the supervising permit technician, language related to handling difficult customers.
No, I'm happy.
No, here it's difficult, there it's disgruntled. So that must be our fairly, I don't know, regular occurrence, but
Well, I mean, in the regulatory environment, you know, it's not always easy to try to understand the complexities of the laws required by the state. And so we're the face of state regulations. So very rarely is it as simple as, well, the county's creating these regulations.
Right.
It's not that common, but
Uh,
trying to meet numerous state agencies' requirements through the permitting process. If anybody's tried to build anything recently, you're familiar with how complex it is. And so, yeah, I think that it takes a special someone that deserves, training and higher pay, to meet those needs because it is getting more demanding.
Thank you.
Yeah. The political climate in California is.
Yeah. Any further questions, comments from the commissioners?
Nope.
Any comments, questions from the public online? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the new classification specifications for permit technicians 1 and 2. And the classification specification modification for the supervising permit technician.
And I'll second. Roll call?
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes?
Commissioner Winiger,
Yes,
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Item 6G is classification modification for Animal Protection Officer 1 and Animal Protection Officer 2. Randy?
Good morning, Brandy Dalzell, HR Manager. As part of the overall maintenance of classification specification, Human Resources is required to evaluate current classifications to ensure they are updated with correct language, knowledge, skills, and abilities, among other factors. Before you today, Human Resources has made modifications to the classification specification to remove public contact from the minimum qualifications in the Animal Protection Officer 1 class. This term is misleading and does not align with the experience that is needed for this position and poses barrier for recruitment purposes. Public contact, commonly known as customer service, is not adequate because standard customer service rarely includes encounters with a variety of animals in emotionally charged situations. We have also made minor modifications to Animal Protection Officer 2 for consistency with the classification specification series. Other modifications include minor grammatical changes, as well as the removal of firearm use and Penal Code 832, training on the basis that it is not required. I am available for any questions, and I'm also joined by Amy Campbell from Animal Control.
Isn't
Care.
Animal control under?
Animal Care Services.
Animal Care Services, is it now under the sheriff?
It is not under the sheriff's.
It's separate department.
It's separate, which is one of the reasons why we are
that's why. I was-
removing the penal code.
So that's
Because
a change, organizational change. That makes sense why firearms have been taken. Any questions?
So my
comments?
question about removing the term public contact, because they do encounter the public,
Yes,
right?
the reason to remove that is if when we recruit for this position, either APO, Animal Protection Officer, APO 1 or 2, and someone says that they have public contact, they can believe that they would qualify for this position of Animal Protection Officer because they might work in retail and have public contact.
It's different than doing a teller at a bank.
Yeah.
Yes, and so, for the screening process and to actually find the most qualified applicants is why we removed public contact.
I was kind of looking at it the other way. I don't want them to think that they won't encounter people. It's like humans and animals.
Any more questions from the commission? Any comments from the public online? Yes.
Patrick Hickey, Field Representative with SEIU 1021. We don't object to the removal of public contact from the minimum qualifications, but we do think that it's important to emphasize for new recruits under the knowledge of customer service practices, including techniques for dealing with public in a tactful and firm manner. a lot of this job is about diplomacy, de-escalation, because while these employees do, deal with animals, but they also deal with the owners of these animals, and they can be very fraught situations, and the ability to deal with those situations in an effective way is very important. We also question the removal of the training, the Penal Code 832. This is something that is recommended at the state level. It's also something that is done in our neighboring counties, Sonoma County, Lake County, Trinity County. It's not just about firearm training. The current officers don't carry firearms with them into the field, but there may be occasions where that would be appropriate. In this rural county, the officers are going out into very remote areas. The possibility of backup or support could be hours away. So that option and that ability could be important. The training also goes beyond just firearms. It's a whole range of different topics. Two of our current officers do have that training, and they believe that it's quite helpful in their interactions with with the situations that they encounter. So we would ask that remain in there, or that at least be included at the Officer 2 level, which is done in other counties.
It could be left.
We could, we can keep the training in the classification specification. We could re-add that and bring it back to the commission.
Or can we?
Or
send
it could be,
Can we amend it?
yeah,
Here?
yes. Well,
Is there some way to,
Firearm training?
is there some way to make some mention, as Mr. Hickey alluded to, that there is a significant amount of interaction with the public? And it could be, feisty interactions. Is there some way to include something that,
De-escalation.
De-escalation.
no, but that just addresses that's part of the job or the responsibilities or what you need in order, you said you eliminated it as one of the qualifications because, yes, a bank teller it's not the same thing, but is there some way to put language in that addresses this position as it relates to public contact?
Under knowledge, the 6th bullet has customer service practices, including techniques for dealing with public and tactful and firm manner.
Yeah, there it is.
Mr. Hickey pointed that out.
Yeah,
Great,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
so all we're
Missed that
doing
one.
is amending the
Yes.
firearms.
My question would be around the whole firearm thing. Are they allowed to discharge a firearm since they're not under the sheriff's office?
No, they're not, they're non-sworn.
So
That's
why-
correct. They are non-sworn. And PC 832 actually is reasons for arrest, and because we're not carrying firearms and we're not arresting.
That's why my concern with adding it back, it's like, we're sort of,
Yeah,
if they're gonna have to.
Language could be added that includes they wouldn't carry.
But we would
And
want
we
them
could
to have the
keep
training.
We could keep the field training,
Right,
but not the 832.
right. Oh,
That's what,
so what does the 832
Is
provide?
the training.
It's
That's
the
the
training.
It's a training, firearm training,
So that's separate from
but they're not,
firearms, isn't it?
they're not an officer and they can't carry.
yeah, so that is my question too. So if they can't carry, they're not allowed to discharge.
Why
Why?
have it,
Mm-hmm.
which is why they're taking it out.
Because that's why, in other counties, they're under the sheriff's office, so that makes sense. But now that they're not, and it's an entry level position, that seems a lot of risk for.
Yeah, that's a risk for the county.
Yeah,
But that's separate from 832.
The 832 training, I think, could be left in because it has the components, as Mr. Hickey was saying. And we could state in here, not just that it's non-sworn, but that they will not carry. So that it's very apparent.
And may I also point out, under the licenses and certification, that the basic state California Humane Officer Academy is also required within 1 year of appointment.
Just jump in quick in terms of the areas that are covered under the 832 training. They include leadership, professionalism and ethics, laws of arrest, search and seizure, investigative report writing, use of force, arrest and control, cultural diversity, discrimination, among others. So it's not just about firearms or firearm usage.
Are they actually arresting people?
No.
No.
They're not.
So are we able to add that language back in here today?
Yeah,
Yes.
it
Yes,
can be amended
okay.
to include that.
Okay.
Any further public comment? Amended?
I'll make a motion to
Motion.
approve the classification specification modification for Animal Protection Officer 1 and Officer 2 with the reinsertion of PC 832 in the field training program.
Any further comment? I'll second. Roll call?
Commissioner Evian,
Yes?
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
Commissioner Winiger,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 6H, specification modification for building inspector 1, 2, and 3, and senior. Ready?
Randy Dalzell, HR Manager. At the request of the Planning and Building Department, Human Resources has modified the minimum qualification and revised licenses and certifications for Building Inspector 1, Building Inspector 2, Building Inspector 3, and Senior Building Inspector classification specifications. The objective of these modifications is to clearly state requirements for licenses and certification, and to make the minimum qualifications more accessible to internal candidates promoting within. Other modifications include minor grammatical and formatting changes. At this time, we are recommending the approval of the classification specification modifications for Building Inspector 1, 2, 3, and Senior Building Inspector. I am available for any questions, as well as Don Burks and Richard Langley from
Is there an incumbent in those jobs? There are.
Do you find it difficult to attract candidates?
This was mostly clarification, so, sorry, Richard Angley, building official. I started at the bottom and worked my way up. And when you went through these specifications, it was unclear with the way we obtained certifications, which ones we actually needed for the next position. And so, after reviewing the state laws and listing them in there, it's clarification for people as to what specific certifications are required to do our jobs. And then the other part of it was working for the county the way it was listed. You could have a higher position come up, whereas having time for the county, I would require more certifications to obtain that higher position than someone coming from outside the county and working in, which seemed backwards to me. So that was the modifications.
Makes sense. Any more questions from the commissioners? Okay. Any public comment? Nothing from our meeting? Call for a motion? Do you have more questions?
No, I think I understood what it is they're doing. It's making it clear how many, like in the entry level, you need 4 certifications or licenses, and then 2, you need 8, and so it just makes it clear that the ladder and the hierarchy. I'll make a motion to approve the classification specification modification for building inspector 1, 2, building inspector 3, and senior building inspector.
You have another question? comment?
No, I'll second.
Okay, I saw you moving that. Call for, roll call?
Commissioner Winiger,
Yes,
Commissioner Evian,
Yes,
Commissioner Wiley,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Okay, is there any other business?
no,
At this time? Ready. So what item, resource director report? Do we have anything?
Did you say HR director?
Yeah, agenda item 8 is to be used for human
Yes.
resources.
Yes,
So-
so Denise Bartlemay, Assistant HR Director, and, so, Sherry Johnson, the previous, deputy CEO, has been appointed as our HR Director. I believe she came in and said.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I will remain the secretary for the commission, under her, as appointed by her, so. That's all we have today. We will be looking for, November dates for the hearing. There's a disciplinary hearing, so we'll be sending out emails to you about that very soon.
so was her deputy CEO position filled?
No,
Not yet.
So now we have, we also have a meeting October 24th and October 30th, and they're all day.
that's what we have to plan. Yes, plan for all of it.
have you done one of those? Did they really go all day?
I haven't experienced the.
How do
fun
people
of
with
that.
jobs like me do this?
We'll get to do it together because we'll be newbies. We could stumble along together.
So for the November meeting, we don't have a date yet. Should we look at our availability?
We have the regular meeting date, but I was gonna pull you guys, since you're all here when we adjourn, I was gonna pull you guys to see if we could
Okay,
maybe. come up
perfect.
with a
Yeah,
date.
I think we should, that's easier.
So-
So just go back and forth.
So can I just throw this out that I already know that our regularly scheduled meeting in November, the 20th. That afternoon at 1 o'clock is a Measure B meeting.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
We can talk once we adjourn.
okay. Thank you.
We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Evian, Commissioner Winiger,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously,
Yes.
and
And the time is 10:05, 10:08.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank
Really
you for
well
being here too,
organized.
from the public.
Thank you. Wow.
And our union, thank you.
Really, there were a lot of
Like your input.
specifications, modifications, beautifully organized.
Yeah,
I also
thank
want to
you.
point out that Giovanna's name was on here, and this is Giovanna.
Oh,